Kia ora, hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us for our weekend weather update and the outlook for next week as we come to the end of July and we kick off the start of August. And we've got this new evolving weather pattern, more westerly weather coming out of the southern part of Australia. So today's animated wind map is showing you where our new weather pattern is forming from. And basically we're seeing a lot of high pressure coming out of the Indian Ocean, crossing Australia and tracking along to the north. Now remember, the map is stretched out to fit on the screen, but a straight line actually goes like that. So if you're going directly from west to east, it'll come up and around and along like that. So that's the reason why you can sometimes see big storms here and they look as though they're going to come straight into New Zealand, but they end up curving off down because the map does curve. So we've got a lot of windy weather at the moment between the high pressure zone around Australia and the Indian Ocean and the top of the Tasman. Windy westerlies in the middle part here affecting especially Tasmania, Bass Strait and the South Island. And then we've got all this low pressure, the big storms down near Antarctica, which are usually there at this time of the year. So this means we've got a bit of rain coming to where you would normally expect it, Fiordland. So for the next 4 days ahead, most of the rain is down here. The North Island only seeing a couple of showers and the eastern side mostly dry, if not completely dry. So that's for the next 4 days. Take a note of the colour shading down here in Fiordland because when we go over to the Australian map, you get the same thing happening in Tasmania because it's the same airflow moving over. This is for the next 5 days. Really, it's around Cairns that's seeing the most amount of rain outside of Tasmania. And temperatures tonight in New Zealand, they are below normal for a big chunk of the country, especially in the North Island. Frosty weather in Waikato. It might even creep into Auckland. That's how far north we're seeing that frosty weather going up the country today. And even though you can see sort of some warmer than average weather down there in the south, it still could be frosty for you too. So let's get into the forecast for Saturday at least. High pressure goes right across Australia and out to the Indian Ocean. The storms we just saw down here towards Antarctica and the windy westerlies from Western Australia to Tasmania and not quite reaching the South Island just yet. But when we get to Sunday, they do. And the temperatures in Southland lift up into the mid-teens or low to mid-teens. So fairly mild weather coming for you on Sunday. High pressure is way out over there in the Indian Ocean, but it does stretch out to the Tasman Sea. So the top of the country is somewhat under a bit of high pressure. It's not really under low pressure or high pressure. And a few showers are still possible, mostly in coastal areas as a result of the weather we've just had pass through. So next week kicks off with a lot of high pressure over Australia and a lot of windy westerlies down here in the Southern Ocean. Tasmania right in the middle of it, and so too is the South Island. So we'll be seeing rain building up on the western sides and windier and warmer weather along the eastern sides as that comes through. And of course, for the top of the country here in New Zealand and right across a big portion of Australia, it is dry due to that higher air pressure. So next week, you can see the big high parked over basically Victoria and, sorry, I was going to say Canberra, but it basically is Canberra as well. And then you've got the big windy westerlies here surging over the South Island. Severe gales possible, heavy rain warning possible, and then snow possible because of this small sort of storm system down here. So by Wednesday, it dredges up a classic cold front across New Zealand. Another burst of hail and squally showers, windy weather, a temperature drop, and snow again for the central North Island. We're getting snow at least once, twice a week in the North Island, but it's followed by this warmer weather which melts some of it. And then look at this cold front coming in here to Western Australia on Wednesday. So the high pressure zones, like this one here and the other one in the Indian Ocean, they are tracking along like that, and the storms, they surge up in between them. So you got that one there with a cold front, and still a southerly flow here on Thursday next week, but generally calming down with a big strong high rolling in. So you can see this new sort of westerly pattern starting to show up a lot more now as we go into August. And as we said this week, our next Climate Watch update is out next week. We're delaying it till Wednesday. That's the 2nd of August because we're waiting for an announcement from the Bureau of Meteorology in Australia about El Nino. That's all from me. We'll see you again next week.